third section of chapter 5 is going to be talking about medians and altitude, which are the last two columns on your properties chart, right? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the centroid. So the centroid is going to be a point where the three of which segments is drawn. So look on your chart and see which one it is. Who's got it? Centroid on your chart is underneath what? All right, so everybody pull out your chart on your desk and look for the word centroid. Centroid is spelled C-E-N-T-R-O-I-D. Okay, the centroid is three of which of the segments? Medians. There we go. The three medians. Okay, so if we have a triangle and we draw three medians in it, we're going to get a point where they all intersect called the centroid. How do we draw a centroid? Where do we start and where do we end up? So you're going to look on your little chart, and it's going to tell you where to start, and it's going to tell you where to finish. Where do we start? Where? The what? The inside. Actually, we start on the side, and we find its what? Midpoint. Good. So we go to the midpoint of one of the sides, and we draw a line to the what?
Right.
Opposite
side.
Vertex. Okay? So if you don't have that on your chart, then you need to watch the YouTube video and make sure you get it, because we even put on here midpoint to the opposite vertex. Okay? And we even said that it's usually slanted. All right? So for example, number 1, we're going to draw a triangle. And we're going to label this triangle L, M, N. Okay? On this triangle, we're going to draw 3 medians. The medians start at the midpoint of a side and go to the opposite vertex. So let's start on this side right here, side ML. So on ML, you're going to go to the middle, where the midpoint should be. We'll label it Q. Breaks that side into 2 congruent pieces. And from there, we want to go to the opposite vertex. What is the opposite vertex of side ML? N. N is the only one left, right? So you're going to scooch up your ruler or your student ID to QN, and you're going to connect them. And we have 1 median. We need 2 more. So you're going to take your paper and you're going to turn it. And you're going to have MN facing you. So you're going to get the midpoint about right there. We'll call it R. Divides it into 2 congruent parts. And then from that midpoint, we're going to go to the opposite vertex. What's the opposite vertex of MN? The one that's left over. That would be L. So you're going to scoot your ruler up to RL and draw in your second median. Okay, we have 1 more to go. So turn your paper to the third side of your triangle, NL. Go to the midpoint, call it P. Divides it into 2 congruent pieces. So we'll put triple tick marks. We want to go to the opposite vertex. There's only 1 that's left. It's M. Scooch up your straight edge and connect them. Bless you. Bless you. Okay. So you should have 3 medians all drawn in the same triangle. Those 3 medians intersect right here at a point called the centroid. Okay? That centroid creates a special relationship. So if you look on your chart, Under Centroid, we wrote some special measurements. This one has a special ratio. Who can find the special ratio on their chart? There's a fraction there. What's that fraction say? What does it say? 1/3, 2/3, okay? So you're going to have a shorter piece, that's 1/3, and a medium or longer piece, that's 2/3. And if you add those two together, you should get the whole thing, okay? So I'm going to give you some measurements, and then we're going to find out the other pieces. All right, so the first one we're going to start with is SQ. I'm going to give you SQ at 4 centimeters long. We're going to find SN and QN. Oh, we got to label S. That point, the centroid, is S. There's our S. Labeled all the other ones, but not the S. All right. So if we go on to all of our medians and we find SQ. So S is right here, Q is right here. This little piece is 4 centimeters. We now need to find SN. SN is the top portion of that median. So to go from SQ to SN, what do we do with the 4? We double it, right? Because the short one is 1/3, the medium one is 2/3. So we're going to take the 4 centimeters, we're going to multiply it by 2, we should get 8 centimeters. All right, now we need QN. QN is the length of the whole thing. How do I get the length of the whole thing? Add them up. 4 plus 8 is 12. We've got 12 centimeters. The other shortcut is to, if they're just giving you SQ and they want the length of the whole thing, how could you get from 4 to 12? That would take that would be 2 steps. But what if you wanted to go straight from 4 to 12? Multiply by 3. Okay? Let's try another one. What if I tell you that RL is 21 inches? What is RS and SL? Okay, so we're going to go over to our median. Here's R, here's L. RL is 21 inches. So this time, instead of giving you the short piece, I'm giving you the whole length of the median. Okay? So first, we want to get just RS. RS right here is the short piece. So if the RL is 21, what is RS going to be? 7. Because it's 1/3. Look right here, we wrote down that the short piece is 1/3, so you're going to take your 21 and you're going to divide by 3. That gives you the short piece being 7 inches. Now we need SL. How do we get SL? Just, you can subtract them or double this. There's 2 ways. So you can either start with 21, subtract 7, or you can take the 7 and multiply it by 2 and get 14 inches. So there's 2 ways to get that one. All right. Any questions on example number 1? All right, awesome. Example number 2, we're going to find the orthocenter. My pen is dying. So we want to find the orthocenter of triangle XYZ. Okay, so you're going to take your little piece of graph paper that I gave you, and you're going to trace the rectangle that it makes into your notebook. And you're going to write, staple the graph here. Okay, so that's going to be number 2. Example number 2. We're finding the orthocenter. And here are the points. X is at 3, -2. Y is at 3, 6. And Z is at 7, 1. Okay? So we've got some locations. What should we do with them?
Plot them.
Plot them. Good. So this one's at 3, 2. So we're going to go 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. Down 1, 2. Put a point. Call it X. The next one is at 3, 6. So 3 to the right. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put our point. Call it Y. The third one is at 7, 1. So 7 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up 1. Put a point. Call it Z. Once you have your 3 points, you're going to go ahead and connect them to make a triangle. 3 points, make a triangle. All right. So using these 3 sides of and 3 vertices of this triangle, we're going to find the orthocenter. Okay. We know that we need to draw 3 whats? 3 perpendicular bisectors, 3 angle bisectors, 3 medians, or 3 altitudes. Which one? So look on your chart, find the word orthocenter, and look at the box above it. What does it say? Altitudes. Okay. And if I can't remember how to draw an altitude, I look at my chart and it'll give me directions. What are the directions for drawing an altitude? Where do you start and where do you end up? Where does it say to start? So look on your chart, and we wrote the word start. Start where? Where do we start? Go to your box that says altitudes. Where does it say to start? Somebody said it. Opposite vertex. From the opposite vertex, what do? Straight down. Okay? So you want to start at the opposite vertex and then go straight down. All right? So the easiest way to start is with this side, XY, because it's vertical. Sides of triangles that are vertical or horizontal are the easiest ones to start with. So what is the opposite vertex of XY? Z. So we're going to start over here at Z, and we need to make a straight line that's perpendicular. So we're just going to go straight down right here. Then we can put our little box to show that it's perpendicular. And we have 1 altitude. Okay? The other 2 lines of this triangle, or the other 2 sides of this triangle, are not straight. They're both slanted. So let's pick one of them. Let's pick side XZ. And from X to Z, we're going to count its slope. It's going up, so we know it's positive. And then we just count how much over or how much up and how much over. So 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 3 over 4. So we write down the slope of 3/4. If you count from X to Z, you should go up 3 over 4. So go ahead and count that on your graph. Okay? We need to draw an altitude that's perpendicular to that side of the triangle. How do you find a slope that's perpendicular to positive 3/4? How do you find a slope of a line that's perpendicular to 3/4? Okay, so what do you mean by reverse? You're probably correct, but tell me a little more specifically. Flip it, okay? So we're going to take that fraction and flip it. That's called the reciprocal. And she said switch the signs. So if this one's positive, this one's going to be negative, okay? We'd start it with negative. The new slope